Okay, so let me introduce myself. My name is Trish Ahjel Roberts. I'm a transformational coach. I also coach authors. So I'm a book coach. I am a soul healing retreat leader. And we have the Ghana Soul Healing Retreat coming up for the second time in the spring of next year. And I'm an author. I'm a best-selling author. So one of the books that we're going to be talking about tonight and what I'm really excited about is the birthday of this book, which is 12 Steps to Mind-Blowing Happiness. But I have my fourth book coming out in the spring of next year, which is actually about one of the steps that I get a lot of questions about. And it's the one that has to do with anger. What do we do with it? Like, what is it even really? And does it serve us any purpose? So let me go ahead. I'm going to pin myself here. And what I wanted to do first was, first of all, just coming into this space, taking a few breaths together. And then I want to give us an opportunity to introduce ourselves. You know, we can all kind of talk a little bit. And actually, as I say that, I'm like, you know what, let me not pin myself yet so that we're more of a group. So let's start off with 3 breaths together. So if you are seated, or I don't know, Jen, you look like you're making dinner. I can't hear you, you're muted.
No, I was closing the blind behind me.
Oh, okay. So if you can settle down, let's all kind of settle in. I know everybody's got their day. We've all been doing stuff. And listen, one of the biggest things I think for Black women is just being able to get still, because usually we're always doing all the things for everybody. And even when we're still, like, we're thinking about the next thing that we got to do later. So if we could take just a few breaths together. So sit comfortably. And let's go ahead and rub our hands together and just generate a little bit of warmth. You know, if you follow Christianity or Reiki or any of these practices, there's so much energy in the palms of your hands. So when you generate that heat, go ahead and take your right hand, put it on your heart, and take your left hand and put it on your belly. And then just close your eyes and sit with that for a moment. And see if you can feel the energy coming off your palms. That's real healing energy that you have access to. And see if you can notice the beating of your heart. Because if you've been running around and doing stuff, you might notice it's a little bit fast. But you're still alive, you're still here. Mm. You know, so just notice that heartbeat. And then see if you can notice your belly rise and fall, just with your normal breath. A lot of times as women, we don't let our bellies rise and fall. We breathe through our chest because we want to stay snatched all the time. So see if you can notice your belly. It's true, right? We hold our breath. So we're going to take 3 breaths together. And I want you to inhale through your nose, let your belly fill, so your hand should rise. And then when you exhale through your mouth, I want you to let out some noise. And if you want to mute yourself or something, if you don't want people to hear you, that's fine. So go ahead, inhale through the nose. Let it fill up, fill up, fill up. And then when you get to the top, release through the mouth. And then 2 more times. So we're going to inhale through the nose. Let the belly fill, fill, fill. And then exhale. And the last one, inhale through the nose, let your belly fill. This time, hold it at the top a little longer. And exhale. So you should feel the difference just from pausing to take what we call 3 cleansing breaths. They call those cleansing breaths. I know it makes me feel good. I hope you feel that, you know. When my daughter was little, she would sometimes see me working and she'd say, "Mom, you're not breathing." And she was right, because I would hold my breath. You know, it's kind of like an anxiety response. And for most of us, we learn to hold our breath when we're little girls. You know, the first time somebody says, what are you doing in there? And you go, or you put your hand in the cookie jar or something, or somebody yells at you and so learning to kind of breathe again is like a whole thing. And we're not going to get into that whole thing tonight, but I did want to start with a few breaths together. And I think that we have a few minutes just to kind of introduce ourselves. So if you can do, your first name, what city you're in, and what you're hoping to get from this experience this evening. And Sandra, I'm going to pick on you because you have the good earrings, and I picked on you first anyway.
Yes, my name is Sandra, and I'm in Brooklyn, New York. And
I'm from Brooklyn, so I got excited. Go ahead.
what's okay, yeah. I'm just looking forward to getting a lot of positive energy, a lot of insights and golden nuggets, so to speak, on how to up my game in terms of living more spiritually, living more authentically.
Okay,
Yeah.
sounds great. Tony, you want to go next?
Sure, I will. And you're right. Sandra's earrings are fabulous. Okay.
Thank you.
My name's Tony Ward. I am from Jacksonville, Florida, by way of Baltimore, Maryland. I've only been here for a year.
Okay.
And what I am looking to, and I moved here to find happiness in a place where I don't know anybody. I'm away from my family. It's just me. I want to be on my solo walk for the next half of my life. And what I'm looking to get from this is to learn to get a soul connection to myself and slow down and really be in tune to me, because I've been so busy taking care of everybody else's, from my parents to my siblings to my children. I really just want to be on my own solo path right now.
Yeah, that's exciting. Thank you for sharing that.
Sure.
Beautiful. Jen, do you want to go next?
Sure. I'm Jen Boyd, and I'm here in Pittsgrove, New Jersey. Hey, shout out South Jersey. And tuning into self, because like you said, we pour so much into other people, and you kind of lose your way. It was like, who am I? What makes me happy? So that's what I want to get out of this session.
Yes, and that is so true. Yeah, it's easy to lose yourself. Hey, Danielle. I love that hat. How are you?
Thank you. Hey, I'm doing well, thank you. I'm here in Atlanta on vacation, by way of New Jersey. My goal really in joining this session, yes. My goal really,
And then like meditation battle or something.
yes, I really just wanted to tap in to feel some positive energy and vibes, just to kind of raise my frequency. A lot's been going on, like with everyone, right? So just kind of wanted to take a moment to slow down and be still, and just to feel some vibes from Queens of the Universe,
Yes, yes, yes. I like that. Queens of the Universe. I'm going to use that later. That was good. Thank you. I see Perdita. I see Michaela. Are you guys going to come off camera? Or come on camera, I guess. If you want to. There you are. Hey, Perdita. So we were just doing name, city, and what you hope to get out of this evening session. And you're muted.
Okay.
Oh, you're back. Okay, there you go.
Oh, well, I'm Perdita Fisher. I'm from St. Louis, Missouri, by way of Georgia. But anyway, and I'm here just to take a moment to refresh, re-energize. I've been doing a lot today, kind of got stuck on some things, and I just, sometimes you have to take a break away from that. And I thought, well, since I checked my email and saw, well, okay, well, let me join this. So,
it's good to see you in here.
All right, thank you.
Thanks for coming. And Michaela, are you there?
Yeah, can you hear me?
I can. Yes.
Okay, awesome. I am driving, so I am Michaela Meadows, and it's very loud in my van, so But I'm glad you can hear me. I am here because I am at a point in my life where I am making space for more of what I want. And so I am very open to receiving what is for me, what will support the journey of peace, joy, and happiness, which is what I'm creating. So I'm glad to be here. Thank you all.
All right, so let me ask you something, Michaela. Are you going to be parked anytime soon? Because I was going to do meditation, but I could do a reading first and then do the meditation.
Yes, I will be parked in like 2 minutes.
Okay, perfect. Okay, so while we're giving her a few minutes to park, I want to talk a little bit about the idea of mind-blowing happiness, right? I showed you the book. I actually wrote it 3 years ago, and then I had it revised 2 years ago. And that's when I got some really nice endorsements. You know, I put more love and more work into it. So it got endorsed by Iyanla Vanzant, which was huge for me. I think it would be huge for anyone. That was super exciting. If you ever go to look through my stuff and you go on my YouTube, you can see the evening that I launched the book, and I was talking about expecting the endorsement from her. I didn't know it was coming through yet. It was also endorsed by Jack Canfield, who is the Chicken Soup for the Soul co-founder, which was amazing. And I'll tell you a little bit of a secret that I have not announced, because he gave me a foreword, a full book foreword for my book that's coming out in the spring of next year, which was like, it's just, it's unusual and super exciting, super exciting. And then I found out the woman who narrated a movie called Happy, her name is Marcy Shimoff. And if you haven't seen the documentary Happy, I recommend it to anyone. It's like a 2011 film. So I was super excited about that. She ended up doing the foreword for this book. I didn't know who she was. I had never heard the name before. And then I learned that she was the narrator on like my favorite documentary of all time. So that was amazing. But what I wanted to do was just read what is mind-blowing happiness, because it's not the same as happiness. And even happiness, sometimes we think, you know, I'm drinking a cup of tea, I'm happy. I'm in Starbucks, I'm happy. I'm petting the dog, I'm happy. Like it could be very fleeting, and it's not necessarily something that people take very seriously. So the definition that I have here for mind-blowing happiness is a state of deep joy and fulfillment, characterized by a juicy life journey, because I like the word juicy, because I want my life to be juicy, and I think everyone else should have a juicy life too. So a juicy life journey steeped in passion, purpose, and this is the most important part, the realization of your full potential. Like, I know I worked a job, man, I feel like I took about 10% of myself to work. You know, they didn't want my creativity. They didn't want to hear all my ideas. You know, they just wanted like this little piece of me that fit into their box. And it doesn't mean that everyone's going to, you know, look for mind-blowing happiness and quit their jobs and do something else. But you can like layer it into your life so that you have the components that make you fulfilled and satisfied, and that you've done the inner work to be able to appreciate a lot of those things. So I'm going to go into this a little bit more. There's a part here, and this was in the second edition because it wasn't in the first. I realized that a lot of people didn't know what I was talking about when I spoke about self-actualization, or when I spoke about Maslow's needs hierarchy. I learned that in school. You know, it might have been a psychology class. I don't know why, but I realized not everybody knew that. So I'm going to read a little bit here, and then I'll do the guided meditation, and then I'll get into the presentation for us. So my journey to the idea of mind-blowing happiness began when I studied Maslow's needs hierarchy when I was in business school. Abraham Maslow was an American psychologist who is best known for creating a theory of psychological health based on fulfilling human needs in priority, culminating with self-actualization. While the needs don't fall into perfect order, I'm sure you'll see the logic. First, you must take care of your basic needs for food, shelter, safety, before you move on to more complex goals like intimacy, self-esteem, respect. And in the book, you know, it's kind of represented by this pyramid type chart, starting at the base and working your way up to this idea of mind-blowing happiness, self-actualization, living your best life, rising to your potential. So while Maslow pointed out the needs, he didn't provide a path to attain them. So for me, through many years of studying Buddhist and yogic philosophy, life coaching strategies, therapeutic techniques, and my personal experiences overcoming my personal trauma in many different forms, the 12 steps to mind-blowing happiness materialize in my life. It's my pleasure to share these teachings with you so that you can experience the deepest levels of joy and fulfillment in your life. And this mission is so important to me that I made the commitment to teach the 12 steps to mind-blowing happiness to 12 million people over 12 years. So I'm 2 years in. So now I have 10 years to get to that number. And it's not impossible because the Chicken Soup for the Soul guy sold 600 million books. Marcy Shimoff, who did my foreword, sold 16 million books. I have 3 books so far teaching the steps. You know what I'm saying? So I'm just trying to get you guys to do the math in your head with me. Just imagine the impact you could have. Like I think of, like suppose out of the women on this call today, suppose by the end of the year, we were all 20% more confident. Suppose we were 20% more clear about our purpose. Like what would that mean for the next 5 years? Suppose you knew yourself 20% better, or you loved yourself 20% better. How would that impact people in your home, in your community, in your neighborhood? The ripple effect is really powerful. So yeah, it feels good for us to feel more confident and more clear and more fulfilled and more satisfied and more excited about our lives. But what about also what it does for all the people around us? Now, you're going to have a few who may not be that excited for you, right? When you feel good, you're always going to have, there's always haters, right? So you'll have some people who watch and they're kind of like, But eventually, even the people who are kind of like, eventually they're going to be like, I want some of what you're having. You know what I'm saying? What you been doing, Anyway, so I was reading this thing. So mind-blowing happiness is a state of deep joy and fulfillment characterized by a juicy life journey steeped in passion, purpose, and the realization of your fullest potential. The world needs not only the sense of joy, but the dedication to service that arises from it. When you rise to your potential, the whole world will benefit. And then take a moment just for fun to imagine a self-actualized world. We can give this 10 seconds, 20 seconds, just for a moment. Imagine that everybody you know was living at their highest potential, that they were healed, they were happy, they were working with passion. Just a few seconds. It'd be a whole nother world. Your boss would be different, the kids would be different, your neighbors be different, our politics would be different. It would be a whole nother place. So that's it. Now that you know where we're going, get ready for the journey. Trust me, it's juicy. So that's how this starts. And now I think, Michaela, your part? I don't know.
Yes, I am.
Okay.
Yes, I am.
Okay, awesome.
Thank you.
You're welcome. So let's take just a few minutes for a short meditation. I'm going to guide you. So if you are sitting in a chair, you want your feet flat on the floor and you want your back to be straight. We can go ahead and take our shoulders up, take them back. You just want to have really nice alignment in your spine and keep your chin aligned. So you don't want to drop your chin. You don't need to be up here. Just keep it aligned because the idea is really to keep the spine aligned. And let's take a couple breaths. Let's just inhale through the nose. Exhale through the mouth. And then for hand postures, palms down is considered more of a grounding posture. So if you're feeling maybe pulled in a lot of different directions, any kind of instability or instability emotionally, physically, financially, You could do palms down. And then palms up, if you choose to do that, is more of a receptive posture. So if you're really looking for some inspiration, guidance, enlightenment, you may want to do palms up. And then just bring your awareness to the crown of your head. And just imagine that area is warm and relaxed. Bring your awareness to your forehead. To your eyes, to your cheeks and your jaw. And just relax all of that. Relax your shoulders, your chest, your upper arms, your lower arms, your forearms, your hands, and your belly. And then relax your hips and your thighs, your knees and your calves and your feet. And then scan your body from head to toe and see if you notice any place that you're holding tension that needs to be released, and release that. And just take a few more breaths here. I'm going to leave you breathing on your own for just another 30 seconds or 60 seconds. Okay, so just notice your breath. See if you can notice the sensation of air as it enters the nostrils, right at the tip of the nostrils. And see if you can notice it on the exhalation. So don't change your breathing, just notice it. And see if you can notice it to the exclusion of anything else for just about 30 seconds. Continue to notice your breath. And if you find your mind wandering at any time, just redirect it with love and compassion, as if you were talking to a child or someone that you love. And on your next exhalation, I want you to imagine that you're exhaling thick, dark smoke, and with it, any fear, anxiety, worry, mental busyness, or physical ailments. So every exhalation, imagine that thick, dark smoke leaving your body and taking with it any worries, fears, concerns, any physical ailments, any mental busyness. And then on your next inhalation, I want you to imagine golden radiant light coming in through the crown of your head. And with it, bringing inspiration, confidence, abundance, focus, authenticity, mental wellness, physical energy, enlightenment. Just imagine that light coming into your body through the crown of your head. And on every inhalation, imagine that you're drawing that light in through the crown of your head, bringing with it confidence, passion, love, clarity, abundance, overall wellness. And on every exhalation, imagine that you're continuing to release any remnants of that thick, dark smoke. And with it, any anxiety, any fears, any mental busyness, physical concerns. Just release all of that. And cycle through those breaths a few more times. If you find your mind wandering, be kind to yourself, redirect yourself with love, and just send your focus back to the breath. Continue to bring in that golden light on every inhalation and release any remnants of dark smoke on every exhalation. And continue doing that until you feel really full of light, really full of that positive energy of abundance, of joy, of inspiration, of confidence, of clarity. Just let that fill you up. See if you can let it fill you up so much that you yourself radiate light. That you radiate positive energy, positive emotions. And anybody who comes near you feels that. Just take a few more moments here and enjoy that feeling. So we know that meditation benefits us. It also benefits everyone who comes into contact with us. So our families, our cities, our country, even our world. And then when you're ready, take your time and gradually rise from your meditation. If your eyes are closed, take your time opening them. I hope everybody is feeling good. I'm going to try to keep us on schedule. So I'm going to go ahead and I think I'm going to sip my tea for a moment, give you guys a little second here. And then I'm going to share my screen because I have some slides to show you what these 12 steps are. They're the foundational steps, and then the ones where I call it my master's program, where you start getting deep. All right, so everybody's back. You guys feeling good? Give me thumbs up. Okay, Danielle, I see your heart. Thank you. Okay, good, you guys. All right, so let me share my screen. All right. You know, it's funny. So many times people ask me, why is it for Black women? Or when I do things for Black women, I get a lot of questions like, what are you doing? And I'm like, mind your business. No, I think it's important that we have space, especially, gosh, with everything that's going on in the country, in the world. It's just important for us to have some space together. And some of these things we've kind of touched on already, but you'll see the things that we haven't yet. So we started off with a breath together. We did our icebreaker. We just finished our guided meditation. So the next thing, I'm going to talk a little bit about my story and kind of where you can find my work. 12 Steps to Mind-Blowing Happiness. I gave you a definition of that, but we're going to get into what the steps actually are and some simple ways that you can use them. And then we're going to do some tapping before we finish. So if you haven't done tapping before, it really is a lovely practice, and it's something that is very accessible as well. I am going to give you a meditation that's easier than the one that I guided you through, that you can use anytime as well. And then I have a little special offer for you guys. And I liked, I came up with this today, beginning with breath and ending with oxygen. It almost is an alliteration, you know, where they have the same letter. Not quite, but you get the idea. Basically, all that means is that we're going to breathe at the end as well to close out. All right, so we've done this. And I like to tell my story only because I realized at a certain point in my life that people thought I was happy just because I had an easy life. And that's not the case. So I don't want to go into a long, you know, story of my woes, but I do want you to know that I've been through stuff, right? Because we all go through stuff. So, you know, a lot of these things are in my memoir, which, where is that? Grab a copy here, which is this one, Thinking Outside the Chrysalis, A Black Woman's Guide to Spreading Her Wings. And it goes through just about most of the things that are here. So, you know, childhood sexual assault, which is unfortunately quite common. I got married very young to a person who was very violent, which unfortunately is also common. I lost my oldest sister when she was 31. I was 25. And I also worked into a World Trade Center during 9/11. I remember thinking that that was going to be the most difficult year of my life, but life kept lifing. So there are things. My first marriage, of course, was violent. The second marriage ended in divorce. I've been a single parent for a long time. And this was really actually impactful. This comes up a lot in my memoir and in my work because I speak professionally on the topics of diversity, equity, and inclusion, and also confidence and happiness. And a lot of the basis from that came from my experiences in lawsuits. When I was working as a financial advisor, I was in 3 class action lawsuits based on gender and race. Of course, those things lead to financial difficulty because you don't even understand why you're not getting promotions or why you're not getting opportunities. I've lost both my parents, and then crazy things started happening after the loss of my parents. So I share that just to let you know you are not the only one with stuff, which I'm sure you already know. We all got stuff. But the beautiful part is I have been able to use these steps to really create a life that I adore. So I get paid to write and coach and speak on topics that I care about. I work with amazing women, really helping women tap into their authenticity. Many times we lose that either through our relationships or through our work. It's easy to lose yourself, realign with your values, and really identify and walk in your purpose. And I also help other entrepreneurs. So I coach people who want to write their books, and I also coach people who want to speak professionally. And one of the beautiful things, you know, for anybody who is self-employed, is that flexibility and freedom to work when you want to, from where you want to, and many times take the opportunity to travel. I mentioned the Ghana Soul Healing Retreat that we came back from in March. I thought I was going to do it one time and be done, but I got to take my people in Africa. So we're going back. We're going back in the spring of next year. It's actually February 28th to March 8th. And this is where you can find my work. The Mind Blowing Happiness podcast is coming back on September 14th. We took a little break for the summer, but I'm coming back with a guest that I have been after for a long time. That man has to be so tired of me now. His name is Resmaa Menakem, and he is the author of a book that I adore called My Grandmother's Hands, but he's got other books as well. But so I have had some fantastic guests on the Mind Blowing Happiness podcast. If you haven't checked it out, definitely look for that. And please give me a review because, you know, I forget to ask people. And I would really love to grow the number of reviews that I have on there. So I would love if you could do that for me. And then I also have lots of other goodies. So if you're on this call, you probably get my newsletter. Of course, I have my books. I have my blog. You may have seen me on social media. I have done live television, and you can find that. We're going to get into that a little bit farther along, but you can find that it was about anger, which is also what my upcoming book is about. I've been on national radio. I've filmed a documentary on happiness, and you can find my masterclasses and workshops, my programs and retreats, all those good things. All right, so let's get into it. Why do we need these steps anyway? So this is interesting, and this is really more about happiness itself, not even taking it to that level of really having that joy intensely embedded in your life, which is just a beautiful feeling, right? It doesn't happen overnight, but just this state of joy, right? Our energy field is based on what we're thinking and what we're feeling. So those two things that come together. So like if you've ever come across someone who's thinking really terrible thoughts or very angry, you can feel that energy. So when you think about it with yourself, you can control your own energy. It's not always easy, but it's based on what are you thinking and what are you feeling. And when you're thinking and feeling things that don't make you feel good, you can try to redirect those things, right? But what are the physical benefits of having positive emotions? Lower blood pressure, lower heart rate, less risk for heart disease and stroke. Like we've all seen those stories with the people who seem so healthy, they're skinny, they're this and that, and then they're falling down for some reason or other. Because it's not just the physical that we see, it's what's going on internally that has a big impact on our physical health. So it improves your immune system, reduces chronic pain. Pain is connected to how you feel. If you've ever seen any studies around depression, you may see that people who are clinically depressed have a lot of body pain. And all of that increases life expectancy and improves mental health. So these are the 12 steps. You know, this evening we have a short time together. I wanted to make sure we had enough time to make it juicy with some breath work and some meditation. So I'm going to go through these pretty quickly, right? But you can see what they are. And for each one, I want to give you some little tips, you know, a little way that you can kind of thread that into your life. And they are built out this way for a reason. So the first steps are foundational. And then you kind of growing on that all the way to the 12th step. So I like to call the first 4 steps the first pillar of Black Girl Joy. It's the foundation. So first is healing. We can't do anything if we are stuck in unhealed trauma, if we have not taken the time to start to work through our stuff. And believe me, I had some stuff, so I know. So what can you do? Like, we may not all be able to go sign up for years of therapy. For me personally, in overcoming childhood sexual assault, I started with books, and I was actually very lucky that someone gifted it to me because it wasn't even on my radar. I thought I was fine. I didn't even know. I didn't even know I was unhealed, you know? I thought I was just fine. Because sometimes we have these habits and behaviors that are tied to our trauma. So you can look for journaling prompts, books. You know, my book it's a journal. It's full of journaling prompts. There's 5 prompts for each step. So that could be a place to start. But healing is the beginning. The next step is spirituality. And that is a knowing of your non-physical body and a knowing of your non-physical world. So it could be a way that you express relationship with God or a higher power or divinity or a spirit or universe or however you see that. But I know for some people who, particularly those who feel like they've been harmed by religion, may have completely turned their back on this idea of anything that has to do with a God concept. So if that's you, or even if it's not you, it's really nice to look at spirituality as your non-physical body in relation with the non-physical world. Because you know you have a physical body, and you know you have a non-physical body because it can be measured. You know, you have an electromagnetic field around you, you have emotions, you have heat that comes off your body, and there is a non-physical world. So we know that there's energy from the earth, there's energy from the sun. A really nice way to be spiritual is to be in nature because there's energy from plants. So that's the second step. Third step is connection, which is why it's so beautiful to me to have you guys here together with me this evening. And hopefully I will see you again in a group environment soon. I have a large meetup group in Atlanta, but you can meet people in just all kinds of places. These are just tips. Meetup is great. Facebook, I've met people on Facebook as well in different groups where you're doing things that you have in common. And I always recommend that they're not only things in common, but they are elevated endeavors. Like the vegan group is fantastic because even if you're not vegan, the idea of not eating animals is like, it's an elevated idea, you know, it's different. It's something beautiful as opposed to, I don't know, the gun club. I would not recommend that you find your community in the gun club, even if you like guns. You know what I'm saying? So there's something to think about. There's a lot of wellness groups and those kinds of things as well. All right. So to round out the first pillar is self-love. And self-love is a little more complicated than sometimes people think. I see a lot of memes and I guess other coaches or spiritual advisors where they're just kind of like, well, just love yourself. Like, just do it. Just love yourself. The reality is most of us, we don't know ourselves. You know, we don't know who we really are. And that's part of what makes it so easy to lose ourselves in the process of someone else telling us who we are or who we should be. So self-love does require some unpacking. And the pieces that I think are important to achieving self-love, first, self-awareness. Just pausing to take some time to do some introspection. What do I like when nobody's watching? You know what I mean? What do I really believe? What do I believe so much that I would give my life up for it? Tony Robbins has this quote where he says, the quality of your life is the direct reflection of the quality of the questions you ask yourself. And isn't it the truth? Like, you could go through your whole life and never ask yourself one solid question and give one honest answer. So self-love is about being aware, authenticity, confidence, and I think all of those lead into healthy boundaries. but we got to keep it moving. Okay. So pillar number 2, the Black girl joy, is what I call the cornerstone. So that's the next 4 steps. And that starts off with peacefulness. Most people don't really think about peacefulness. We tend to think more about anger or anger management or what I do when I'm angry or how I don't like to be angry. You know, we think more about the anger than the peace side. Peace sometimes almost sounds like sleepiness, but it's not. Peace is actually a really amazing thing. And I'll tell you, one of the things that struck me is being in a abusive relationship and then being in a peaceful home. Think of that as the difference. There is nothing boring about it. It is all juicy and delicious all day long because you're not being bothered by someone else. But in the case of anger, we bother ourselves with our anger. You know, we aggravate ourselves with our anger. And it's a lot to get into. That's why there's a whole book coming out about it in the spring. But when I talk about learning anger's 7 cranky cousins, those are kind of the low-level forms of anger that we usually don't even think of. Anger happens when things don't happen the way that we want them to. So it could be disappointment, annoyance, frustration, guilt, jealousy. Somebody has something that, you know, we wish we had, resentment. So there's a lot of kind of layers to it. And that's something to think about for anger. Noticing your self-talk, learning to reframe your anger. And as we get into this, it gets more kind of, I don't know, more thoughtful, I would say. So when I think of generosity, I don't think of giving money. I can give somebody money and it doesn't mean anything. It may not take anything from me. It may not mean anything to me. You know, if I am pretty comfortable and I give somebody $5, so what? I gave, you know, nice, okay? But how about if you were to give your talent, your time? What if you were to give something that is uniquely yours? Like you may have heard the expression, don't die with your music. Like for me, it was writing. Writing is something that I do. I could do it in my sleep, right? I didn't write for 20 years because my first book, I couldn't find a publisher. I thought, okay, well, this isn't a job, right? I could have gone my whole life and nobody would have read anything that I've written. So I mean like that. You know, do you have an art? Do you have music? Do you sing? And you only sing in the shower. Nobody ever hears you. So that's what I mean when we talk about generosity as it relates to mind-blowing happiness. And then detachment. I'm going to have to glide through some of these because we're getting closer to the hour. You could think of it as getting rid of anything that doesn't spark joy or that you haven't used lately when you're looking at physical things. But when I teach detachment, we're getting more than just the physical things. Sometimes we can't let go of a memory. We cannot forget senior year of high school. It's the best year of our life, and that's it. Or I'm going to spend the rest of my life reminiscing over college years. You know, so we can get attached to time periods, we can get attached to objects, and we can get attached to people that we care about to the point where it's not fun anymore. You know, the attachment becomes a problem. You know, maybe you spend all your time worrying about your loved ones. So that gives you a little idea of detachment. And the next one is surrender. This is my biggest struggle one, is letting go. You know, if you come from a Christian faith, we used to say, let go and let God. You know, just the idea that you cannot control everything. And whether you have a sense of an external God, I would say that gosh, I think any religion that I'm familiar with, there is always the external, but then there's also the internal. So if you don't relate to the external, you can relate to the power that is within you that you have not perhaps tapped into, but leaning into a faith that there is a benevolent universe, there is a greater good, there is a higher power. Basically, things will work out. You're gonna be okay. Okay, so this is the teaching around what to do. Okay, so this is the teaching around what to do with your anger, and I'm not going to get into this now. You can find it on my YouTube or on my link tree, but these are the steps. It's about a 3-minute video, and you can check it out and learn some of those tools. All right, so this is the third pillar to Black Girl Joy, and the transformation is what I like to call it, because as you go through this process, you will change and you will learn to love yourself better, learn to like yourself better, learn to have healthier boundaries, and learn to, gosh, just enjoy every moment of life so much more. When I was a kid, I used to hate hearing about patience. Who wanted to be patient? But basically, impatience is really one of the forms of anger. Something doesn't happen as quickly as you want it to, and so you get all in your feelings. One way to develop patience is to lean into gratitude when you have to wait. So for me, this is a great example for me anyway. Like when I'm waiting in traffic, if I am in traffic, I am grateful that I am not the cause of the traffic. And I have had major car accidents in my life where I was the one holding up all the traffic. That's not the position you want to be in. So if I have to wait, I'm grateful that I'm not the cause of the traffic. I'm grateful that maybe I didn't leave my house 10 minutes earlier, because I could very well have been the car in front instead of the car behind. That's just one example. And then compassion is the 10th step. So usually people confuse sympathy, empathy, and compassion. So you can think of sympathy as seeing someone suffering and saying, ah, I'm so sorry, right? I pity you. But maybe I don't totally relate to your situation. Maybe it's a child starving in a country 1,000 miles away. And you think, oh, that's terrible, but it doesn't really resonate with you. Empathy is that I see someone suffering and it resonates with me. I think a lot of us, when we saw George Floyd, it was so deeply painful because I was like, oh my gosh, that looks like my uncle. That looks like, the corner in Brooklyn where I grew up or whatever. That looks like I can totally relate to what's happening here, right? So it was deeply painful, right? Compassion is really an action verb. So compassion is having that empathy and then wanting to do something. So I see you suffering and I want to do something. So what could you do on a daily basis? You could give the extra $1 at the checkout when you're checking out the grocery store, or round up or something like that, if that's what you want to do. You could give someone a helping hand, when you see people standing around, homeless, they need money, they need food. What you could make that part of your kind of daily, weekly practice. Or you can do like what I did, gosh, it's almost 10 years, it'll be 10 years next year, which was I stopped eating animals. I stopped eating animal products. My dog, well, you probably heard my dog before because he started barking when he wasn't supposed to. But, I had the day come when I looked at my dog and then I sat down and I ate a chicken and I was like, you know what? This doesn't feel right. I don't feel good about this. But whatever your choice is, you can find a way to incorporate that into your life. And the 11th step is passion. Are you living a life of passion? Or did you do like me and take the thing that I was really passionate about and not do it for 20 years because I didn't think that it was something where people were going to pay me? It's interesting. It's so crazy when I even say that now, but I feel like I have that experience so that I can, stand on the rooftop and tell my story. Have you let something go? Sometimes you have to think about what you used to love to do when you were a kid before somebody told you that you can't do it. And the final step, step 12 to mind-blowing happiness, is mapping a path to freedom. And people think a lot about financial freedom, and financial freedom is fantastic. However, you have seen many stories of rich people who kill themselves, right? Or they live alone with a bunch of cats or whatever that looks like. So the financial freedom is one thing. What I think is equally or even more important is personal freedom. Do you feel free? When someone asks you a question, can you give them your real answer? Or do you have to give the answer that, I don't know, your grandmama and them gave, or your husband says is okay to give, or your pastor says is okay? Do you have personal freedom to express yourself? Always in a loving way. I'm never going to tell you go out and say something crazy. Always in a place of love. I believe that when we are in touch with our own spirit, that is what we will find. Sometimes it's cloaked in a couple other things, and that's how we work through it. But at the end of the day, it's love. So when you find and you unearth what's in there, that is what you will find. All right. Black women deserve mind-blowing happiness now. That's what I got to say. So this is just a little history lesson, right? Women's rights, we might have been on the tail end of that. Civil rights, nah, maybe we got a little bit in there. Of course, we got the Me Too movement, Black Lives Matter movement. A lot of these movements, we were not at the forefront of them. And I shouldn't say not at the forefront, because we've always been out there doing the work, but I'm just saying that the Black womanness of us wasn't always the prime beneficiary. So I think it is our time. So like Maxine Waters, it's time to reclaim our time. And then I had a couple quotes here. I love Zora Neale Hurston, although, these quotes get me in my feelings just a little bit. The Black woman is the mule of the world. One thing that I experienced going to Ghana, which was just so refreshing to me, was that instead of walking into spaces and having people either not see me, not look at me, not pay attention to me, or make some assumptions about who they thought that I am, and it's not usually the best thoughts. In Ghana, it was just like, hello, like you go into a room and everybody's excited, which is so different. And I was like, is that what it feels like to be part of the majority population out here every day? You just walk into rooms and people are happy to see you. So it was definitely an exciting experience. And then the other Zora Neale Hurston quote: "Love makes your soul want to crawl out of its hiding place." All right, so I'm probably running a little over, but I think we can do tapping in a couple of minutes. So I hope that you ladies will stay on with me. So let's go ahead and come to a seat, feet flat on the floor, back straight, same posture that we would use for meditation. And we're going to try some emotional freedom technique tapping. This is really nicely accessible for particularly for anxiety. And what it does is it accesses some of the acupressure points in your body and sends a message to your body that you are safe. You are safe. So I'm going to start. I'm right-handed. So I'm going to start with my right hand. And what you want to do, like this kind of part of your hand, it's kind of like the karate chop part, you're going to take your four fingers and tap on this part of your hand. Now I'm only doing this so you can see, but I'm going to drop it so you can't see anymore. But I'm taking 4 fingers and I'm tapping on the karate chop part of my left hand. So I'm going to tap, 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 tap. All right, and just make sure you're breathing. Tap, tap, tap. Okay. And I want you to start bringing your awareness to something that's bothering you. You know, is there a relationship or a financial situation, a physical health situation? Just bring that to the forefront of your mind. Then you're going to take 2 fingers, so index and middle on both hands, and right where the inside of your eyebrow meets the bone at your nose, you're going to just tap there, tap, tap, tap. And as you tap there, I want you to think about the thing that bothers you. You're going to think about the thing that's bothering you. Make sure you're breathing. And then we're going to take these same 2 fingers to the side of the eyes, not the temple. There's a bony part right at the side of your eyes. I would say probably ocular bone or something like that. Move my hair out of the way. And you're going to tap that bone and just tap gently. And think about whatever that thing is that's bugging you. And we're going to go under the eye. So there's a bone right under the eyes here. Same 2 fingers, tap, tap, tap. And now I want you to think about releasing that issue. So whatever the problem was that you were thinking about, I want you to imagine that problem is resolved. You are safe. It's all taken care of. And then we're going to take one of the hands. I'm right-handed, so I usually always use my right hand. And you're going to tap right underneath your nose. So like there's that little spot where the nose and the upper lip kind of join there. I'm going to tap, 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 tap. And then the next spot is right in the little crease between your lip and your chin, that kind of crease right there. Tap, 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 tap. Everything's taken care of. You're safe in your body. Everything will resolve. All right, and then now you're going to take 4 fingers, or you could even do 5, and we're tapping our collarbones here. So tap the collarbones, tap, tap. Ooh, make sure you're breathing. And you're going to take one of your hands and then tap about 3 inches under your armpit. Then we're going to take both hands to the crown of the head, tap. All right, now bring your hands to your palm. I hope you can feel that. Let's do one more round. I know we're a little over time, but we'll do this one quickly since now you know how to do it. So we're going to go ahead and, because I did my right hand the first time, this time I'm going to take my left hand and do the karate chop on my right hand. So tap, tap. Then I'm going to take the 2 fingers to the bone, right at the inside of my eyebrows. Tap, tap. Everything's resolved. And I'm going to take those same 2 fingers to the bone outside my eyes. And then the bone under my eyes. And I like to switch my hands. So like if I use my right hand before, I'll use my left hand now under the nose. under the chin. Take all the fingers to the collarbone. And if you tapped on one underarm, this time we're going to do the other one. So about 3 inches under the underarm there. And finally, back up to the crown of the head. All right, let's bring it down. Hopefully you can feel that. And let's go ahead, rub our hands together. We're going to take our last breaths. So what did I call it? I said ending with oxygen. We're going to end with our oxygen. Rub your hands together. Take your right hand to your heart. Take your left hand to your belly. Let's take 3 breaths. So inhale through your nose, let your belly fill. Hold it up at the top. Exhale with a sigh. We'll do 2 more. Inhale. Hold it up at the top. Exhale. Let it out with some noise. This is the last one. Inhale. Through the nose. Let the belly fill. Hold it at the top. Hold it. Hold it. And release it with a sigh. Woo! All right. I don't know how you guys feel, but I feel great. So I promised that I would share a special offer with you. This picture here, I actually posted on social media. That's when I ran the Publix Marathon in Atlanta back in 2017. So that was definitely a high. But what I would like you to do, if you were thinking that any of these things resonated with you and maybe you want to book a call with me, the call is free. If you book a call, show up for the call, I will send you a digital copy of 12 Steps to Mind-Blowing Happiness right in your mailbox. And we can have a conversation and see if there's any way that I can support you on your journey. I see I got some chats. Did anyone have to leave? Okay, yeah, ready for bed. I hear you. I hear you. All right. I hate going over. But I guess we started a little late and then I got into my I wanted to make sure that I gave you some experiences this evening. So I hope that you enjoyed that. I'm gonna stop the recording